Hey everybody, Ryan Williams here with Loon Outdoors. Going to show you guys today how to tie a fly. I got no name for it, just a big old fly for fishing in the jungle. We use it for stripers out here. Really good fly for pretty much imitating a glide bait, basically. Kind of pull it along the surface on an intermediate line. It's got a big old rattle in it. It's got weed guards. Just goes right over any kind of snags. Good. Not a fly you're going to get many bites on, but when you do get a bite, it's going to be a good one typically. But smaller fish don't shy away from this thing as well. This will catch 2-3 pound stripers, no doubt. Then this is also a top fly that I tie for people going out for peacock bass out in the jungle. And also too, it's got a really big profile, but it's thin in the middle, or it's hollow in the middle, so it's actually not that heavy. Made to throw with an 8 or 9 weight. 9 weight's a little better, but you can totally throw this thing with an 8 weight, no problem really. And we'll go some lateral scale, the thinner, more thin size in pearl. And we're going to go some olive crystal flash as well. Just getting a bunch of different colors up in there. Our tail tied in now, the flash tail. Now we're adding some Farrar or flash and slinky. Or Farrar, it's the same stuff pretty much. Don't make a difference. And it comes pretty tapered if you pull it right out of the pack. I'll still pull a little out of the middle just to taper it a tad bit more. Want this going about to the end of just behind the end of the flash there for the tail. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Just a small amount of this tan here. Now the tail's pretty much done. Now we're just adding in the rattle here. Now the rattle we go plastic rattles, and the medium-sized hairline makes these things. Glass rattles always seem to break, so I really like the plastic rattles. The only issue with the plastic rattles is they tend to bend, and then it'll prevent them from rattling if you have it too tight cinched down on the hook here. So we're just going to go really loose, nice, easy wraps. The glue is ultimately going to fasten down the rattle. We're just kind of getting it tacked in basically with the thread. It's nice and easy on the wraps again. Yep, those still move. Rattle's still good. And back one more time. Yep, they're still working. It's all centered now. I'm just doing a whip finish and then we're gluing. Doing a big old layer of glue over the whole thing. We'll make sure it's all nice and centered on there. Now we're going UV thick. I'm gonna dab a whole bunch, hefty amount on here. And I'll spread around with the toothpick. Pretty important part here, otherwise the rattle will shake loose or it'll end up breaking apart. But if you got a good layer of glue, not going to be an issue. I'm kind of wet my fingers a little and comb that stuff back to prevent it from getting all up in the glue. Kind of helps too if you have a cup of water on the table, you can put a little water on the tail to prevent those materials from flying all around and getting in the glue. Whatever that little ball is to lock it in place, those things will kind of break loose sometimes, so you do a bunch of glue over it to prevent that from happening. Just finished there. All right, now going to the main body. Going owner is AKI Aki hook, saltwater 6/0, big old heavy hook. I'm not playing around with this thing. First off, though, we're gonna attach the tail end here now. Cutting off some 50-pound, just any kind of 50-pound line. You're gonna do just fine. You just want a nice thick line on there so the thing doesn't really hang down like so if it's paused. You want it to kind of keep a nice straight profile as you're pulling it back. And a lot of times with this fly, we're pulling it back pretty slow, so you want kind of a stiffer deal. It's not going to hinge way down and make the fish look bent. And just loop that. Pull that puppy through the loop there. Now that's how it's going to be. Pretty much having this just, I don't know, 1/4 inch from the back end of the fly here. Pretty close. Oh yeah, and then you can tie this fly with a second hook if you like, but I like being able just to comb the fly out really fast when I'm fishing it, because when you do catch fish on it, it gets really jumbled up and messed up, and if you had a second hook on there, it'd just be a kind of a pain to keep the thing clean and orderly. This is why I like just using one single hook, kind of banking on the fish to crush this fly when they hit it. Not one you're going to get many bites on, but when you get a bite, it's going to be a good one. But 2-3 pound fish will eat this fly, no doubt, as big as it is. Yeah, now we're just adding on a nice bulky head here. So we're gonna build a collar. And this is 6mm, just white foam. This is not a fly that's made to sink really deep with how long it takes to tie. I like fishing on the surface where I can see it and I know I'm not going to snag it up and lose it. Total intermediate line type of a fly. And the foam helps it get nice and bulky, and it'll kind of keep it more of a neutral float in the water. And we're going to do that one more time. Because it's such a big fly, you want it to kind of have a pretty good sized big head on there. Make the profile look realistic. And that's what this big old foam collar does. It just beefs the whole thing up. Really helps out with the whole profile of the fly, really, because everything's tied onto this from here on out. So everything's going to be wider and thicker, as opposed to just tying directly on the shank. All right. Now we're going bucktail white. Try to find some longer strands of the bucktail. Got a nice, pretty heavy amount on here to start out. You know what? We're going two. Doing one piece of white on one side of the hook shank and then another piece of white on the other side. And I'm wrapping it back pretty far, giving myself plenty of room to tie onto here as we move forward. Cut off another hefty piece of bucktail. And the same deal on the top here with tan bucktail now. Take out the shorter parts, no need for that stuff. Doing 3 loose wraps on it, and I'm kind of spreading it out. Fly's starting to take its shape. Okay, now we're just going tan flash and slinky on the bottom, a little darker tan on the top. Then the fly's done. We're getting there. I'm using basically the whole length of this flash and slinky here. Now we want a real big taper for this stuff, so I'm going to pull a whole bunch out. Very drastic taper. It's looking about right there. Now we want the length of this to go pretty much right there back to the end of the flash. Just laying that over the center, spreading each side between the hook. Now we're going to do 3 loose wraps, maybe 4. And we're going to spread it all out and get it nice and even here. Okay, now I'm doing the same deal with the flash and slinky again, the anchovy color. So we cut the whole length of that there. Now again, we're going to do a really big taper on this. So we're just going to move the stuff with my fingers. Nice to comb this stuff through as well. Keeps everything nice and tidy for the most part. It's the same deal, bring that pretty much all the way back to the end of the tail there. 3 loose wraps, 4 loose wraps. Spread it. Now cinching it down. Okay. Now I'm just going to run the thread over everything, kind of clean it up a little. Kind of bulk up the front a little bit with a bunch of turns of the thread. Helps to turn the vise to keep the thread locking in place. Put that thread on at all different angles. Hit everything. Little junk. Now I'm going the weed guards. Such an expensive and long fly to tie. I'm always going to have weed guards on this thing. 100%, no doubt about it. Make it just pull right over logs or whatever. Good for jungle fishing. And these weed guards are the Do It It's the company's called Do It Jig Molds. Sell them at like Tackle Warehouse and whatnot. I haven't found them in any fly shops or anything yet, but they're just a regular conventional fishing product for building jigs. Little wire weed guards. I put these weed guards on all of my streamers at this point. Even smaller ones. Like a lot smaller. Right. Tan Copic marker. I'm just going to color the top, and we'll leave the bottom white. Okay, now gluing in the eyes. Do 3/8 inch little hairline orange kind of eyeballs here. Let's do a dab of the UV thick on each side to tack the eyes on at first. Okay, now we're gonna make sure they're all nice and straight. Looking pretty straight when you get a little frontal view on it. Now we'll shine the light to tack them on there, keep them in place, and then we do a big old heavy layer of glue of the UV thick right over all this. Spread this all around, get it nice and even, cover absolutely everything on the head. Looking decent enough for the first layer. And we'll go on the second layer, and this should be good after the second layer. Get this all the way back. Make sure every little bit of thread is covered so nothing can start breaking loose. And then we're going to need to do just a little more on the actual eyes themselves here. Little dab on each side. I think that looks about perfect. Just about perfect, kind of. Good enough. There it is.